Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Angie, a mixed media textile artist. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming by. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back again, for subscribing and supporting my channel. Today is Friday, and you know that means it's time for another Fabric Friday. This week I have two pieces of fabric to show you, and they're on the wall back here, but we'll take a closer look at them later. They're both rust dyed on black fabric, and I call them part of my black gold series. Now, I didn't take photos or a video during the process, and I apologize for that. I just get so excited when it's time to rust that I just jump right in and I forget all about recording the process. But I promise I will try to do better. So since I didn't record the process, let me describe to you how these pieces are created. First, I start off by laying down a piece of plastic on my work surface, and then I put down the first piece of fabric, which has already been soaked in vinegar and water and the excess squeezed out. So I lay that on top of the plastic, and then I lay down a piece of flat rusted metal on top of the fabric. I come back with the second piece of fabric that's been soaked in vinegar and water and the excess squeezed out, and then another piece of plastic. Then I put bricks on top of all that to help keep the moisture in. Think of it as a plastic fabric rusty metal sandwich. I know it's not as tasty as a normal sandwich, but that's how I like to think of it, and that helps to get the visual, I think, in your mind of what I'm doing here. At least I hope it does. One of the main things that I like dyeing about this way is depending on whether the fabric is on top of the metal or underneath the metal, you get a totally different impression from the same piece of metal on the same type of fabric. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this is cotton. It's a very tightly woven cotton. And I just find that fascinating that I can get such different images from the same piece of metal on the fabric. So now let's go over and take a closer look at these two fabrics, and I'll point out some of the details. Okay, now in this first piece, the vertical piece, I see a glorious, magnificent tree. I don't know if that's what you see. Let me know down in the comments if that's what you see, but I see this glorious tree. Here's the trunk coming up into some of the branches. Down here we have the root system, and I just find this to be fascinating. Another thing I like about the flat rusting on metal, I don't always get such heavy areas of rust. Sometimes you get this real watery effect like we have going on in this area. To me, that just makes it a lot more interesting. Another thing is you get a totally different impression on the reverse side of the fabric. So let me turn this piece over and show you what I mean. So here's the reverse side of the fabric, and while you still see somewhat of a tree, it's not as defined as it was on the front. So here's part of the trunk and part of the root system. So on this side, with it being less defined, there's more left to the imagination. So you can make this more of what you want it to be. Now I guess you can do that on the other side, but on this side, there's less of a defined image. So now let's take a look at the horizontal piece. Remember, these were both dyed at the same time, one on top and one on bottom. I don't know which one is which, but this one is totally different from the other piece. And I've got this one hanging horizontally because that's the way I see the image. What I see here is I see this bird image. Okay, here's his body. These are his head feathers, some tail feathers here, and maybe a wing, and his legs. So it appears to me that he's running, either running towards something or running away from something. Now that's the part that I'll have to figure out when I go to work on this. What is this something over here in this area? So let me turn this piece over and we can see the other side. Okay, on this side, I can still see a bird image, but it's definitely a lot less defined. I can still see his head and his head feathers here. I don't really see any tail feathers or any wing feathers, and I can still see some legs, and it still appears that he's in a forward motion. He's running toward something. Now, what that something is to be determined. Well, guys, those are the fabrics for this week's Fabric Friday. I hope you found them interesting, and I'd love to know, did you see that bird? Did you see that magnificent tree? Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you saw that. And if you didn't see that bird and that tree, let me know what you saw. I would love to know what you saw in those images. Well, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I want to thank you for coming by. And if you enjoyed the video, let's give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so that you don't miss any new videos I upload. And I hope to see you back here again sometime soon. But until then, have a beautiful day. Bye-bye now.